What do you want to talk about today?
How you only care about yourself. And I could look crazy on camera. You don't even notice because you're just caring about yourself.
I was a selfish young man at one time, but never with you.
Oh, really?
Really? You want to do a show?
I know you do, because it's all about you.
It's a super uncomfortable way to start an episode. Let's go. Today we have Greer, South Carolina. Woo woo.
Check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys.
Hey listeners, ever wonder what it would be like to blow up your comfort zone at the tender age of 50? Well, we did just that. When our last kid went off to college, we hit the road in search of a new hometown. Now we bounce from city to city and bring you along for the ride. This is the Skiptown All-Stars podcast.
What's up, All-Stars? Welcome back to another edition of Skiptown. How you doing, Trixie?
I'm doing great, as always.
I miss Phil a little bit.
Oh, I miss Phil a lot.
Yeah, I miss Phil. When we're not doing the episodes in the studio,
Yeah.
it just feels like there's a piece missing. So, Phil, if you're still listening to us out there,
Phil's not listening. He's not part of the show. He's not listening.
he's moved on, I'm sure. We'll be back, Phil.
Yeah, we will be back in the studio. We just find that our schedule is not always conducive to Phil's schedule. He's a very, very busy man. So sometimes we have to set up shop right here.
That's right. When we go on a trip gallivanting across the country, we come back and there's never time in the schedule for Phil. He just books up right away, and we can never get back in.
Yeah, but you'll see us back in the studio soon.
Yeah. So all that said, please, if you could, like and subscribe to the show down below if you're watching us on YouTube. If you are listening to us on Spotify, give us a rating, give us a review on Apple Podcasts, wherever you find us, wherever you may be streaming us and getting the Skiptown All-Stars sound.
Yes.
Show us some love.
We really appreciate it. I mean, really, when you share it with a friend, it helps out so much. So thank you for all those sharing with a friend people.
That's right. And if you don't have any friends,
Go
we'll
make
be
some.
your friends.
Go make some.
Oh, wow, we took two very different tracks on that.
I'm very proactive.
I said we'll be your friend.
I'm proactive in life.
Okay. Okay, so what do we got today? We got Greer, South Carolina. For those of you that remember our previous Greenville episode, we did a quick drive-through of Greer back when we were doing a tour, real estate tour with Pastor Mike. Represent. Hey, Pastor Mike, how are you? I know he's not listening to us anymore.
No, he's not listening either.
But anyway.
He and Phil, they're together hanging out having coffee.
That's right. That's right. They're starting their own podcast, the Phil and Pastor Mike Show. So we decided we're going to go back to Greer, and you can tee that up for us.
Yeah, so, we met James's cousin Doreen on our visit to Greenville.
Oh, to be clear, I did not meet her there, but go on.
Okay, I met cousin Doreen. Obviously, James has known cousin Doreen since he was little, but you guys were not hanging out. You weren't adult cousins spending time together. So let's be clear.
There's a gap in our relationship.
I would say you met cousin Doreen too.
It's about a 40-year gap, I would say. Maybe 43 or 44 years. Yeah.
You were meeting adult cousin Doreen for the first
I was,
time.
Yeah. Yeah, I remembered childhood cousin Doreen. She was great. We used to get along really well.
And adult Doreen is exactly the same. She's awesome.
Happy to report.
Yes, and she now just has extended herself with a family that is also awesome. So when we left Greenville, Doreen said to me, it would be so nice if you could bring your family next time you come to visit. She has 3 children, an adult son.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I forgot about David. He's so quiet. Plus, he lives in Asheville, so he's not actually there in the household anymore.
Yeah, Doreen's got 3 kids.
Sorry, David, young David.
So a family vacation started getting planned with Mia and Ellie and Doreen, Dave, and their family. We decided 4th of July would be a really great time because, well, heck, we've never been to South Carolina on 4th of July. Yep. Why not try a new place for 4th of July? And so when we actually decided to drive to Greer,
yep.
And the reason that we picked Greer was because we'd already been to Greenville. And if you listen to that episode, you know that we weren't 100% sold on Greenville for several reasons. And Doreen, she is doing the hard sell on me. I'm telling you, she's sending me houses in Greenville every day. And then she came to me and said, you know what? If you're going to come for a visit, you should probably stay in Greer. You mentioned Greer on the Greenville episode. Thanks, Doreen, for listening.
Yep.
And it would be really nice if you really explored that area. Again, she's wanting us to move there. So we decided, okay, we're going to stay in Greer. And we did. We literally stayed in a hotel right on Main Street, basically. And we wanted to get a feel for the downtown area. And we decided to drive there. And, when you're driving from Florida to South Carolina, you obviously hit Georgia. Mm-hmm. And there are a lot of fruit stands that sell peaches this time of the year.
Imagine that in the peach state.
Yeah. So I'm a sucker for a farm stand. So we did stop and get some goods while we were in Georgia. I get to South Carolina, lo and behold, there are fruit stands on the side of the road that also sell peaches.
Were they imported from Georgia?
No. You know what I found out? I found out when I got to South Carolina that actually South Carolina is known for their peaches.
I've never heard that.
Okay, well, South Carolinians will tell you this.
Okay.
So when I heard that from also Doreen, I was a little hesitant. I was like, okay, peaches in South Carolina.
What are these second-rate peaches going to taste like? For the record, I hate peaches, so I'm not sampling the peaches at any point.
Okay, I just didn't go for it. I have to be completely honest with you. I love peaches. I think Georgia peaches are amazing. So when I heard people in South Carolina saying, you have to try our peaches, I was like, yeah, no, I'm not doing it. And I didn't. So what did happen, though, is when we were leaving South Carolina, heading back to Florida, hitting Georgia, there was a fruit stand in Georgia. So I'm going to get out and get some peaches. I bought the peaches. But guess where they were from?
Tennessee.
South Carolina.
Really?
No, the
right
stand
across the border?
The stand in Georgia had South Carolina peaches. So after I purchased them, I just happened to say, oh, is this from your local farm? Just making conversation. He's like, no, these are from South Carolina. He didn't even pause. And I was like, South Carolina peaches in Georgia? He's like, they're some of the best. And I have to tell you, I feel like I'm a peach connoisseur because I really love peaches. I'll eat them all summer. They were really sweet.
Wow.
They were so sweet, and they were a white peach, which I'm not normally a fan of. They looked yellowish, but they were actually white inside. And I have to say, it was better than the Georgia peaches that I had, tried on the side of the road when, we were on our way to South Carolina. So for all that side eye I was giving people, I apologize right now. Those peaches were delicious. So, hey, if you're headed to the South and someone tries to sell you on a South Carolina peach, do not pass it up. I'm telling you right here, I feel like I can really say I'm a peach expert. They were delish.
Okay. I think we're good on the peach conversation right now.
South Carolina, they think they're known for their peaches, and I can't disagree.
Established. Can we please move on?
Go ahead. It's all about you.
No, it's not all about me.
It's your podcast.
It's like everybody who hates peaches right now is like, click, click, click.
It's your
They're
podcast.
going over to the Joe Rogan show right now.
Go ahead.
Political issues in South Carolina, especially for progressive folks like us. Why don't we just talk about that? Let's just jump right in. What do you say?
Okay. So one of the reasons I wasn't really crazy about Greenville, and it's not just me, but James also, is that they tend to say exactly how they feel politically, which is fine. We were all through Texas. And if, we didn't hear one more time, don't California my Texas, we would have died, basically.
It's actually not fine. It's not fine. Nobody cares what your politics are, okay? Can we just give that blanket statement? Nobody cares what my politics are. I have a show. I have a podcast, and nobody cares about our politics.
But I have to say that in different states we go to, people are very free about voicing their politics. I'm just making a point. So it's not, this is not the first foray we've had in visiting a city, a town, a state where people just want to tell you how they feel about their politics.
I'm just saying they don't need to.
Agreed.
Because nobody cares.
Agreed, but they're still going to do it.
I know.
So Greenville
people.
is no exception, which is why, it's one of the reasons why we chose not to look for our forever home there. And another reason was if you go to Greenville's Instagram, it's pretty hateful.
What, the city of Greenville?
Oh, yeah. and there's 2 Instagrams, so make sure you go to the one that has like 100,000 followers, because that's the one that's the most hateful. So they hate on people coming in that are moving there. If you listen to the Greenville podcast, you know I already mentioned it. They also hate a ton on gays. It feels like when you're in the city, they just want everyone to stay in their lane. That's like the only way I can really describe it. And while we were visiting, I posted some stories on our Instagram, because it's a family vacation. We're not going to Greer to look for a house. We're going to like have a family vacation. So I posted some fun photos of the family in Greer having fun. And a listener reached out and said how she had visited South Carolina, Greenville area, and how racist it was. I don't know. I really I can't say that I would understand that. She's in a mixed relationship. She's white. Her husband's African American. So what she felt is not what you and I felt, but she had many examples of how, it has an undertone of racism.
So they're still getting the 1940s looks when they walk down the sidewalk.
Kind of, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And so she really sent me a long message about watch for this, watch for that. And it's not just white on, black or brown racism. It's also black and brown. Everyone kind of just, like I said, stays with their own people, stays in their own lane.
So to prove her theory, we put Denise in blackface,
No.
and she and I walked down the sidewalk together.
We did not do that. We did not do that. But the very
All
first
right.
night we got there.
It was just an idea we talked about, but
Yeah.
we shot it down.
We didn't talk about it at all. No, but we got to this cute little town, Greer, and in typical Skiptown fashion, we got there very late. So all the restaurants were closed, save for maybe 2. One of them was a bar. So we went to the bar, but it was a really nice bar. It was they had the high top tables. They had a pool table there. They had, a jukebox. I mean, it was a really nice bar. They had burgers, fries, everything you can want on the menu.
Standard neighborhood sports bar. Pretty big, pretty large.
Yeah. And so we walk in, we sit down, we're starving. We've been in the car for, quite a bit. And we start to order, we ordered food. The drinks come, we're waiting for our food. And Ellie says, because Ellie's with us. Mia arrives later that night. Ellie says, look at that. And my back was toward it, so I obviously didn't see it. So I turn around, and hanging from the ceiling is this huge flag that basically represents who their presidential nominee
Their
is.
favorite candidate.
Yes. Now,
Rhymes with rump.
yes. And so I was really shocked to see that inside an establishment. Of course, we see that outside of establishments all the time. We even see Confederate flags outside of establishments. I mean, people have no problem saying who they're voting for and how they lean politically. I just have never, ever seen it inside of an establishment. So I turned to James and I said, wow. And do you remember your response? Because I do if you don't.
I don't.
His response was, we're in a privately held business. They can do whatever they want, and we're in South Carolina.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. I do recall that I had not seen a flag or an endorsement quite that large inside an establishment before.
Yeah.
But I mean, I've seen bumper stickers stuck to a back
course.
wall or whatever,
Yeah.
little silly things like that. But this one was it was actually the drapes to get to the bathroom.
So that's how we started our trip.
Yep. And
But it got better.
it did get better. I mean, the food was good, actually. So,
You know what? So
I'm a sellout.
The food wins you over.
I mean,
every
whatever. It's
single
a
time.
flag. It's
Every
it's their
single
place.
time.
They want to hang a flag, whatever.
It's just weird that it's inside the establishment, not outside, so you have a choice of whether or not you want to go in. It's inside the establishment. I don't know. I was just wow, okay. First I've ever seen, ever, in our 2 years of travel.
I just think moving on from the bar and back to the Instagram page for the city of Greenville.
Oh, yeah.
I think it would be more productive in society to stop going after the gays and start going after the people that run up the aisle the minute the plane stops at the airport. Okay?
Agreed.
Can we talk about that?
Agreed.
Okay.
Yes.
So there are plenty of other things to plant your flag on. And I know some people get so tormented by the rainbow flag. I question their protest.
When there are people misbehaving inside of an airplane.
Yeah. Anyway.
So that was night one of the rest of the week of our family vacation, and it proved to be an amazing time. So we want to tell you all about the things that we did in Greer, because look, I do think it's a place to definitely go visit and spend time with your family. It's really cool.
It's a great downtown. They have a great park. The first thing we did though, actually, like the Trump flag is nothing. Like it's not a big deal. What is really offensive is that crepe place we went to right out of the gate on Saturday morning.
It's food again.
First off, I don't eat crepes. I'm not a huge fan. To me, they're just thin pancakes. What's the point? But
I like crepes.
Our family likes them, yeah. And we were sitting there as a group with Doreen and her family. So, there were a million of us. And, time's ticking away, tick-tock,
Yeah,
tick-tock.
like it's the next day of our vacation. It's our first day with them. We want to get our day started. And then to make matters worse, this is awesome. Ellie and Mia, 3 days later, decided to go back because they were hungry. They liked crepes. And they thought, well, it was a Saturday. This is a Tuesday. Let's try the place again. Yeah, they waited in 50 minutes.
Yeah, nobody was in the place this time. And they didn't have the Saturday crowd to blame. They still didn't get their order. They had to go down and, do the same thing and basically stock the cook in the kitchen to get the proper order. So
it's amazing to me when businesses are failing left and right, how a place like this can stay in business. Because, we've all been to places that are just a one-off. Like, okay, they had a bad night. No, this
it was a two-off.
Yeah, it was a two-off. And I just, always looking at like how people run their business. How are these doors still open? How? Do you have any idea?
I mean, the coffee was good, but...
Really? That's
no,
what
I
you
don't have any idea.
That's like insane.
It's like
to
the
me.
minute you go upstairs, because it's like it's at least a 2-story building, right?
2 stories.
The minute you go upstairs, it's like they forget about you. You are dead to them. Thanks for the money.
Don't go upstairs.
You may get a couple eggs with one crepe. The rest of your party may get their food, maybe not.
The location is legit perfect.
It is.
It is the cutest little place. It sits on but not even. It's like a legit it's like not a corner. It's like the building's like at a corner, but it's designed like a triangle. It's so cool, and it's adorable inside. I don't know how they stay open. I think it might be a front.
I mean, I don't know.
Because they're not
really
making crepes.
busy on
They're
Saturday.
not making crepes.
Oh no, they're definitely they're taking orders for crepes, but they're not making them. You're right about that.
So that was the first day of our start of our vacation. So it kind of started on a bad foot, but it
got better.
It got adjusted really quick.
It did. What did we do?
We did something we've never done before. And I know all of you out there listening who've already done this are just rolling your eyes.
It's going to be a corny moment in 3, 2, 1.
Top golf.
We went to Top Golf finally. Oh my gosh. We've heard so much about it over the years. And I think Parker's been there before, I think, with her workmates or something like that. And I know so many people that have been there. We just have never ventured through the threshold at Top Golf.
So Doreen took all of us, Doreen and Dave treated all of us to Top Golf. And I have to say, I'm sold. I'm a sucker. I'm going to take everyone to Top Golf in every city I visit. That is going to be my new thing. And I don't even golf. It was just so much fun.
It was a lot of fun. We had a good time, and they actually delivered our food. So going back to the food thing, but it was a great icebreaker too, because, it was really within an hour or two of the girls all meeting each other. And, at the crepe place, they were all just worried about getting their food. So they weren't really, it wasn't a situation where they could just totally relax and gel. And the couches at Top Golf in our little booth way up on the 3rd floor, it was pretty kick-ass.
Yeah, it was cool. We spent the whole day with them, and we kind of ended at Top Golf. And so I was wiped out. I mean, we had done downtown Greenville at that point. They even took us to the mall, and Top Golf was kind of the finale. So I went back to my hotel room, and we literally started the day at 9 o'clock and got back to the hotel at 8 o'clock. So Mia and I were exhausted. You, though, on the other hand, it's okay. Here's what I don't understand. When we're together, you are asleep by 9 p.m.
When it's just like a normal week, yeah. but I go into overdrive when we're in a new town. That's why I'm kind of like, it has served the show well that I'm so non-committal or that I'm so bright, shiny object whenever we show up in a new place. Because now it's just like all these new things to discover and I want to take it all in.
Okay, so all of that to say, Mia and I are exhausted. We head back to the hotel. James decides he wants to have more fun and explore.
Yep.
I'm like, who are you? Like literally, who are you right now? So he goes out with Ellie.
Yeah.
They were out all night.
Yeah,
They were
turns
out all
out I'm
night.
Ellie's dad. That's who I am. And Ellie is my child because we were both like, let's go. Let's do this. So we ended up, it was Saturday night.
Yeah.
You know what? We need to rewind 1 second. I just have to mention, like, I really feel like I need my eyes checked for contact lenses because in the middle of all of our activities that day after Topgolf,
Yeah.
Dave and I went to the firing range and I started loading the wrong rounds into a clip and I was pressing on them so hard and finally he came over and he was like, yeah, those don't go in that clip. They go in the other clip. So I think I need to get my eyes checked. I think I need like more than just the glasses I wear to read or work or do the podcast. I think, yeah.
It's probably time.
Yeah.
If you're loading the bullets in a wrong gun, it's time.
What I could see, though, even better, was the Greer Saturday night fireworks from their little, I think it's called Liberty Park, if I'm not mistaken. Someone will correct me. But it was a pretty good show, I must say, for a really small town. And they did it the Saturday before the 4th of July
I know.
because they knew they couldn't compete with Greenville. It's really smart. And I guess a lot of the smaller towns around there do that. So
That fireworks show went on forever because me and I were trying to watch TV and I could not hear a thing and it was going on for what seemed an eternity. And I was like, when is this fireworks show going to stop so we can finish watching the bear?
But in typical South Carolina fashion, we did talk to a guy on the sidewalk while we were watching the fireworks, and he started telling us, he was a little older, he started telling us what a huge fan of fireworks he is.
Aw.
And then it was cute for a minute.
Oh.
And then it started turning into, okay, I get it, you like fireworks. But anyway, and then he started in on the whole, you know, I never served, but I'm happy to do whatever I need to do for this country and all this other stuff. And Ellie and I looked at each other and were like, Splitsville, like, we're not going to see the finale fireworks. So we went back inside and just finished our drinks.
He ruined it for you.
Kind of, yeah. I was like, I mean, you know, just trying to watch the fireworks, bro. I don't need like your soliloquy on Americana.
Oh man, that was in a direction I did not see it coming. I got to be honest with you. No, you actually did not. But you did tell me there were 10,000 people watching fireworks.
I mean,
Did you make that number up?
I don't know. Maybe like my
10,000 in a park?
Maybe my eyesight was failing me. I bet there was at least, okay, let me revise, but I bet there was at least 5,000 to 6,000 people in that whole area.
That's incredible. And this little town of Greer is just like 2 streets with little twinkle lights over, you know, the road of each street, hitting the lamppost. So, and that park did not look big. So it was
packed. It was like elbow to elbow in that thing. So
all right. You got a good display.
A lot of humans. Yeah, I did. I got a good display. And I got, you know, a whole poem to America. So it was a full effect. And that was Greer.
All right. So that was day one.
Yep.
There was a lot going on that day.
It was.
So our vacation, you know, continued with Doreen and Dave wanting to show us really South Carolina. So Doreen planned the entire trip for us. And I have to say I was very grateful because I'm usually the planner for every single family vacation we've ever had, any outing. Forget family vacation, any outing. I'm also the planner. Like we could be with a group of 10 people. I could be in a place, an area I have never been to. And somebody inevitably will look to me and say, where are we going to eat? I'm like, hello.
You're that person.
I don't even know why. I'd never been here.
I know the feeling because when the bill comes, I'm the person everybody looks at. So we all have our own thing.
That is true. So it was such a welcome relief to not do anything on this trip other than show up. So on day 2, Dave
I agree.
Okay, you always show up. What are you even talking about?
I know, I'm just saying it's nice when you just show up.
All right, day 2, Dave and Dory wanted to take us tubing down this. Am I saying it right? Is it the
Floating the river?
Yeah, but it's called the
Saluda.
Saludo. Yeah, the Saluda River. And so we were super excited. I mean, to float a river in South Carolina, like that just sounds cool.
I brought a banjo.
Yeah, but you weren't able to use it.
I wasn't able to use it.
We were rained out.
Yep, we got rained out.
So we are pumped, right? Like we are covered in sunscreen. We have our clothes. We're like talking about like who's gonna go where on what tube. Like we are so stoked about this. And then, like we have to turn around. We're on our way there and we have to do a U-turn because they call to tell us that it's raining. And the tube ride, the float, whatever the proper word is, it's a 2-hour ride, right? A float, is it a ride or a float? It's a 2-hour float. So
you call it whatever you want. Nobody's going to argue.
All right, they might. So anyway, they didn't want us stuck halfway through this, and we wouldn't be able to get out.
They were big fans of us not getting hit with lightning, which I kind of appreciate.
Yeah. So we did a U-turn, and we're kind of like, what are we going to do? And Doreen suggested we go back to their house because, they had planned on having dinner for us that night. That was like kind of like, let's go tubing, and then we'll come back to the house and have dinner. So she's like, you know what? Just come back to the house. Let's just hang. We'll maybe play some board games, do whatever, and we'll still have dinner tonight. I felt bad because, when you're planning to have someone over for dinner between like 5 and 8, it's a little different than 11 to 8. Like it was a whole day at her house that we're going to be there. So I was like, poor Doreen. But it ended up being really fun.
It was really fun. Dave broke out the virtual headset and we were playing, what's the name of that game? Saber, something, Beat Saber.
I think that might have been it. It was like, I've never done a virtual reality. Okay, I did a virtual reality experience one time, but it wasn't at someone's house. It was like in a virtual reality facility. Yeah. And it was very, very cool. I mean, it was designed by Steven Spielberg. So, it was like epic. So this though.
What are you saying? Dave's display was not as good as Steven Spielberg's?
There were no dinosaurs in Dave's display.
But it was a fun game.
It was a total fun game, and I had the best time. We all did. And so we really just like made the best of it. And we played board games. The girls went out and got like chocolate chip cookies for us to make. And I don't know, it was kind of a perfect day because the girls really got to spend time with each other. Yeah. We really got to spend time with Dave and Doreen because the first visit we had was just a dinner out and like walking around. Yeah. We didn't really get to hang with them.
No, yeah, we got to talk and just, kind of fill in some of the blanks.
Yeah.
Doreen and I haven't really, we've talked a little bit about like what we've done in between our childhood to now. The biggest thing though was really just, we wanted to get all the girls together and everything and have them get along, and they did.
They really did.
Yeah, and then we got to beat them at Pictionary like 3 times.
Mm-hmm. And they kept coming back for more, and they just would not quit. It was the kids versus the adults, and we told them, not a good idea, not a good idea. And they were like, no. They're like, and they said to us, don't cry on the way home. They were crying.
We were not crying.
No, they were crying.
Yeah.
But
it wasn't Pictionary. What was it?
Oh, Taboo. That's what it was. Yeah, it was Taboo. Not the same thing. We would have killed them in Pictionary.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, we would win. And we're a very competitive family, so Doreen and Dave got to see that. But you know what? They're just as competitive.
Yeah.
And it got me thinking while we were there, and actually like the next day and just a few days later, there's that whole thing, like, when you get together with family and there's just people you don't like. And then, it got me thinking about like my mom and how she always like made me spend time with like family members I didn't like.
Oh, I thought you were going to say how your mom didn't like anyone.
No, my mom liked everyone. My dad didn't like anyone. No, my dad did not like anyone. My mom liked everyone. But, her whole thing was very old school mentality. Like, we're family. Everyone should get along.
Yeah.
I've never felt that way. Like, I have never in my life felt that way. I don't care if it's your brother, your sister, if they're a jerk, just because you're related to them. You do not have to have a relationship with them. I've said this like my whole life. Like, just because I'm related to you doesn't mean I need to like you. How were you? Like, did your mom like push that down your throat?
Yeah, she was a boomer. I think there's a boomer thing. Like, your mom wasn't a boomer, but still, I think that's like kind of an old way of thinking where it's like, you know what, we're going to be there. You need to get along with everybody. You need to do this or that. And even to your point, even, like being allowed to avoid certain people was not really on the table.
Oh my God.
So
No. My
I think
mom
it started changing with Gen Xers. I will definitely say millennials and especially Gen Zs do not buy into that principle at all. I spend enough time on Threads now that I've given up TikTok, and those kids always have something to say.
about their cousins.
Yeah, I mean, they're just like, they don't do Thanksgiving with people they don't want to do Thanksgiving with.
I'm
They
with
will
them.
not.
I am absolutely with them. You're not with them though. You like to hang with people you don't necessarily like.
I mean, if they've done nothing specifically wrong to me, then I tolerate.
no.
I have a tolerance level.
That's
I
where
do.
you and I differ. No, no, no. It is guilt by association. Heck no. If they wrong anyone in my family that I love,
agree with that.
they are dead to me. They're legit dead to me. It could, and I have been like that my whole life.
No, I know, but
No,
we're
you
not even
just
talking
said,
about.
You just said that they have
I
to
know if they
wrong
haven't
you.
done anything specifically. But I mean, to better say, like, look, if they do something wrong to somebody in the family, that's one thing. But if they're just annoying AF, right, then you kind of tolerate them, whether you want to or not, in a family setting.
I didn't say, are they annoying? I said, are you, like, did your mom force you to hang out with people you didn't like? That's what I said.
Yeah, she did, because they were annoying to me. Yeah,
And you still do that.
I guess I do. I don't know. I mean, there are people that are so annoying that I have so many stories to tell after hanging out with them. So there is a value. I mean, if you see the silver lining, just trying to make some lemonade here.
Not me. I will crush it into the ground.
We
and
know that.
Never.
You are scorched earth. There's no question.
There's no reason for me to spend 2 seconds with somebody I don't like.
Okay. You don't have to. It's America. I saw the flag in Greenville. In Greer, at the bar. It's America. You can do whatever you want.
I just always found it fascinating that parents did that to kids. And so I'm just like, I never did that to my kids ever. Ever.
I could see in a family setting where it's like everybody's around, but like
No.
your mom and your aunties aren't really fond of their brother. Like they always argue, they never get along. But
Don't invite the brother.
Okay, but then his kids suffer, and then they feel bad, and it's like, well, we got to invite Jimmy.
Oh, God, you're the brother inviter. You're the cousin inviter.
I am.
No.
I am. But I do think there's something wrong. Like one thing that I am happy society has grown out of is forcing kids to hug those people. Remember when you were a kid, you're like, aren't you going to give?
Most of them are pedophiles, and you were forced to hug them.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I don't know if most of them were pedophiles, but some of them, percentage-wise, certainly were. But there were also people, like their breath stunk or whatever, and you didn't want to hang out with them. So
I always say that family is like a microcosm of society as a whole. You're going to get, someone in your family will end up being homeless. Someone in your family will end up being gay. Someone in your family will end up being out of work. Someone in your family will end up being a pedophile. And
someone in your family will end up being a podcaster.
Yep. You may have to hug them.
I like hugs. So anyway, all right. Well, but that day was super successful.
It was. Nobody was forced to be nice to someone they didn't want to be nice to.
It was a genuine great vibe all around.
Yeah.
I'm happy their girls are like our girls. They're just easygoing. And everybody was ready for the rest of. We still had like 3 or 4 days with them at this point.
So Doreen had planned to take us to Asheville because our girls have never been to Asheville. And if you heard the Asheville episode, we've been to Asheville, but we wanted to take our girls there. Plus, like a lot of millennials, Gen Z talk about Asheville because it's topical because it's a popular place. So we took our girls there and we spent the day in Asheville. And kind of in like typical family fashion, Ellie was full on in baby mode. Okay, so we get to Asheville, right? I'm with Mia. If you didn't listen to the Asheville episode, please do. But I'm going to tell you right now, Asheville is very bougie hippie. That's really the only way to describe it. There's crystals everywhere. There's Birkenstocks, but then there's Range Rovers. So it's like everything is expensive. There's burgers for $20. It's bougie hippie. So we're in a crystal shop, and I'm with Mia. And it's a typical Asheville crystal shop with a tarot card reader in the facility. In the building and in the shop, I should say. So, I say to Mia, you want to get your cards read? Because I know it's just it's fun. You know what I mean? It's not she's gonna like say anything, damaging or hurtful. It's, $2 a minute or whatever it was. It was like just a cute little, I don't know, like it was a cute little thing. So I said to Mia, do you want to get your cards read? Mia was like, yes, I've never done that before. So I paid for it. I had Mia sit with her for however long Mia wanted to. And we're leaving and Ellie's like, oh, there's a tarot card reader in there. And I go, yeah, you should get your cards read. Because, let me just say, Ellie's been with us most of the summer. So in typical kid fashion, when you're the one with your parents, you get a lot of stuff out of them, whether it's Chipotle or gas being paid for in your car or breakfast being made for you.
Or eating all our food.
Yeah, for sure. So Ellie has been taking full advantage of all of this because she's been staying with us for the summer. Well, Mia is back in Utah doing an internship with a judge. So I haven't seen Mia since like March. So yeah, I'm gonna take care of Mia while she's on this vacation. So yeah, I paid for her tarot card, which is like $35.
Yeah, Mia definitely deserved a little dabbling with the dark arts, way more than Ellie did.
So we're leaving the store, and Ellie's like, yeah, I'm gonna go get my cards read. I don't even know what happened. I don't know what was said, but she found out I paid for Mia. Oh.
Loose lips sink ships.
She had a complete meltdown in the crystal store. Like you would imagine all that beautiful energy would have calmed her down. No, she literally like threw a temper tantrum in the store, was like, what, you're gonna pay for Mia? You're not gonna pay for me? Da. So I walk out of the store because I don't want to hear it.
Did you spank her?
Oh, I really wanted to. I really wanted to. So I walk out of the store.
Can't do that anymore.
No, I walk out of the store and she's following me. And she's like, Mom, I just can't believe it. What, it's okay to pay for Mia? So she's going on. And finally, because Ellie just sort of has a way with like, getting it to me.
I wonder where she gets that.
I don't know. No idea. I go in and I pay for the tarot card. I come out and there's Mia standing there with her arms folded. And she goes, Mom, you always cave to her nonsense, Mom. Always.
Yep.
And all I could say to Mia was, I'm sorry. Like I do. I'm so sorry. But talk about like full on baby mode. It was in full display for Doreen, Dave, everyone to see. Mm-hmm. Yep. Ellie got her cards read and I paid for it.
Mm-hmm. You did. We walked around downtown for a while, but the highlight was the Omni Hotel.
Oh yeah. You have to say what happened when we were driving up to the Omni. It was amazing.
Oh, we saw bears. We saw a mama bear and two little cubs.
Yep.
Black bears.
Yes. I've never seen a bear in person live. I've only seen it on social media or the Discovery Channel or like, Planet Channel. Okay. Then we saw two more bears that were enormous and they crossed right in front of our car.
They were like Yogi style for sure. They were the big boys.
Yeah. So Ellie got it on her phone. So I'm going to share it on our socials. So it was crazy. We saw 5 bears.
And then we walked around the property at the Omni Hotel. You and I had driven past it before. There are a bunch of mansions over there. I want to say, is it West Asheville? I forget. Irrelevant. Go to the Omni. Is it the Omni Hotel?
Well, I think it's a resort. It's actually a resort, and it's legitimately on the side of a mountain. So that's the appeal of it. So bears walking all around, not uncommon. Like when you see a bear on a golf course, it's probably at the Omni.
Pretty bohemian looking. Kind of looks like an abbey or something.
Yes.
Like a monastery.
Yeah.
It's awesome. So walked around the property there.
Yeah, we hung out for a
Goofed
while.
off for a bit.
Yeah, it was really beautiful.
It was. You could see the entire city in the background.
Blue Ridge Mountains.
Yeah.
You could see the Blue Ridge Mountains. It was incredible.
It was. So that was that day. The next day we woke up and it was time to hit the trail. We were going ATV riding. Yeah. And it was an awesome day.
Yeah, so we've never been on an ATV. No one in our family has. James has when he was 12 in someone's backyard, and that does not make him an ATV driver, but in his head he was. So when Doreen asked us if any of us had ridden ATVs before, I told her no, and James said yes. And it's fine. It's fine. I had an idea of what this was going to be like because there's trails all over California with ATVs. We've been to Arizona. There are trails. All of those are in open fields.
Wide open spaces.
Yeah, wide open spaces or on fire roads. So I was like, this is gonna be so much fun, right? So again, we lather up with our sunscreen because we know we're gonna be in the blazing hot sun. And we get to Doreen's house and I'm telling her, oh, I need to grab more sunscreen. And she says, you don't need sunscreen. And I said, why? And she goes, you're gonna be covered. And I said, oh, really? She goes, yeah, we're going like in the woods. So I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. Like, we're going on a fire road in the woods. Like, this is going to be so awesome. So I told the girls, we're going to be covered. Like, you don't have to worry, because we were all like, oh, we're going to be in an open field. We're going to be dying. We're going to all be sunburned. So we actually went to a national forest in South Carolina to go ATVing. And why don't you say what happened? Why don't you talk about our experience?
Okay, so we got on the trail, and Ellie and I were in the middle. Ellie was on the back with me. Mia was with David, and Doreen and her daughter Lacey were, they were the trailblazers. They were in front. So I was in the middle, and Dave and Mia were behind us.
We stayed, Doreen and Dave's daughter Lexi and I stayed behind because Dave and Doreen actually own 3 ATVs, which is extremely impressive. That's how much they loved ATV, and they're legit pros. Those kids have been on ATVs since they were 5.
Definitely status symbols in the hills of South Carolina. Yeah.
Yeah, and so Lexi and I stayed back just so they could get their first round of driving, and then we would get on next. And I was, look. I had my own experience with snowmobiling, so, motorsports I'm always a little nervous of. And I did say, if you guys don't come back in 30 minutes, I'm calling the police. Like, no joke. Like, I'm calling the ambulance.
Yeah. Well, turns out your words were prophetic, because the trail was really tight to the wheelbase of the ATV. I'm not going to lie.
Why don't you explain what that really means?
Well, it was not a fire road. It was legit a trail. It was, in many spots. It was 2 ruts and a lot of hills up and down. It was a fun course. There's no question. It's about a 30-minute course, and a lot of winding and twisting and uphill, downhill and everything. And there was a lot of woo-hoo-hoo and a lot of fun and all that. About 25 minutes into it, my thumb, because it's a thumb throttle, my thumb really started cramping, because you got to stay on this throttle relatively. Like you can't just come up on a hill and then coast down. You're going to dump the thing. Yeah. So you got to hit things with a little bit of acceleration.
You have to know what you're doing. These are trails that you have to know when to speed up and slow down, when to lean left and when to lean right.
I knew what I was doing, but I came up over a hill, and there was a tree root sticking out of the embankment. It caught our right tire and basically slapped us down onto the ground. So we dumped it. We dumped it right quick. It happened really fast. Could not explain it. Could not even see it coming. It's just like 1 minute we were driving along, about ready to finish. We were 27 minutes into the 30-minute trail. And the next thing you know, Ellie and I were laying on the ground.
Yeah, so all my fears actually came true. I mean, I have to say, and I did not share this with anyone, and I'm telling you right now, I think I told you maybe once, but you probably don't remember. I grew up with a kid that died on an ATV. So I knew him, I knew his family, I knew the kid that was driving the ATV. We were all like freshmen in high school when it happened. And so for me, I've always I know how easy it is to tip an ATV. So, but I knew we were going on a fire road. So how are you going to tip it on a fire road? I can't even imagine. You have to be going really fast to do that. So what I ended up doing is I have Mia's location on my phone. So I started following them because I knew Mia would have her phone. And so Lexi and I are literally looking at my phone, seeing the trail that they're going on. And at some point they stopped. And I said to Lexi, they stopped. I go, it's so weird. And then I said to her, I go, well, they probably got out to just look at the beautiful scenery.
Yeah, we saw the scenery up close, that's for sure.
So, okay, so I'm going to tell you my version after you tell me your version. So you're heading back.
Well, we have to tip the thing back upright.
And did anyone get hurt? What happened?
My ribs are killing me, but there's a lot of adrenaline going through us at this point.
So it tossed you. It didn't land on you because you would have been dead.
No, yeah, we were thrown from it.
Okay.
And so I was worried Ellie was missing a shoe in typical Ellie fashion. She's always that kid. But I was worried the thing had actually come down on her ankle or something like that. And I could only imagine getting a call from her volleyball coach saying, why did you have one of my players on an ATV? And fortunately, she bruised her hip. it was sore. She was a little limpy, gimpy for, a day or two afterward, but it was, sort of soft tissue damage because we hit the ground pretty hard. I, on the other hand, I still actually have some lingering rib issues. I am back at the gym. I've been doing great for the past 3 or 4 days. But yeah, there was a period of 5 or 6 days where, it was like really difficult getting up out of bed. I could not put my shoe on because I had no problem pushing. I could do a push-up, but if I dropped a sock, I could not bend over to pull the sock up off of the carpet. So, it's just one of those things. I know when people hurt, like people always talk about hurting their backs or whatever and how that impacts like sort of every movement until it's resolved. It's the same way with your ribs. I got to tell you, like I couldn't inhale fully for the first 2 or 3 days. The next day was actually the most painful. That one hurt by far. And that's when, because that's when all the adrenaline is out of your body at that point. You've had 24 hours. It's just pure pain.
What was more painful, having to come back and tell me you tipped it or surviving with that painful rib?
Normally I would say telling you we tipped it, but no, in this case, I was actually injured. So it hurt pretty bad.
So let's talk about your version driving back, because I definitely have my version of when you arrived.
Okay, so we had to tip the thing back over, and sure enough, so this big branch, this tree root that was sticking out, where it caught the tire, just, popped the seal on the tire. There was no air in it. So it was basically 3 wheels. Dave decided he was going to drive that back. I was going to take one of the girls, and then Doreen was going to squeeze on hers with 2 more girls. And we only had like 2 or 3 minutes left to get back to where we were parked. I could feel my ribs hurting as we were coming back. And then we got to like the open space, the parking lot, the gravel lot where we were all parked. And I saw Dave come up, and then I came up, and I was grateful to have a break because my thumb was killing me, my ribs were killing me. And then you got out of the car and you said, "How was it? How was it?" You were super excited, and the rest of us were not so excited.
No, I jumped out and I did not notice that Dave was solo because everyone had a partner on their vehicle, on their ATV.
When we left, it was a different configuration when we came back.
I knew something was wrong when I jumped out of the car because we were in the car because it was so hot. We were in the truck and having air conditioning on. We had the air conditioner on. So I jump out, and the rear view mirror, I see Dave coming up. And when I jump out to say, "How was it?" Dave just said, "It was fine," or "It was good." And then he immediately went to his cab of his truck to get obviously his tools out because I didn't realize that the tire was flat on the ATV James was on. I knew immediately from his response something had happened. And then I look and there's James by himself, and I hear somebody yell, "He tipped it." And I was so mad. I looked at him and I was like, "Where's Ellie?" Because she wasn't there. And then Ellie was like, I'm here. But she was wedged in between Doreen and Mia. You might have been with Lacey.
I was with Lacey.
Yeah, but I didn't even see Lacey. So I think Lacey must have jumped off.
I'm big and she's small. So you couldn't see her you couldn't see past me to see her.
I was just dumbfounded at how he could tip this ATV on a fire road. So I was legitimately upset. And then I was like, "Okay, are you okay?" Because I was upset at first and I was like, "Are you okay? Are you okay? Is Ellie okay?" So we're sitting there and we're all kind of in shock. I mean, honestly, James was probably in the most shock because it happened while he was driving. And we're sitting there, they're trying to fix the tire. And I just said to Doreen, I just didn't want to stand there for what could be at 45 minutes. I said, take me on a ride because we're here. And she's like, "Oh, you want to go on a ride?" I'm like, "Yeah, take me on a ride." She's like, "Okay." So we exit the parking lot on the ATV. We get on the trail and I'm like, whoa, where are we? What are we doing right now? Because it's a trail that is only as big as the ATV. And if you lean the wrong way, it can tip and you're going to roll down the hill. I want to say mountain, but it wasn't quite the mountain because we weren't on top, but it was a legitimate hill. If you tip, you're rolling. I'm like, "Where are we? Where are we right now?" And she goes, "Oh, this is the ATV trail." And I said, "This is the ATV trail." And she's like, "Yeah." And we had been on it for maybe 2 minutes. And I said, "Get me off." And I said, "Get me off right now." And she's like, "Am I driving too fast?" I said, "No." I said, "You're doing exactly what you should be doing. You should be speeding up in places and you're slowing down in places. I need to get off of this. I said to her, "This is legit dangerous." And she was like, "Okay." So she took me back to the parking lot. And then I immediately walked up to you and apologized.
You did?
Yeah.
You apologized?
And then I had to tell Doreen, we were all expecting to be on a fire road. And she started laughing. She was like, you can't ride ATVs on fire roads here. And I said, why? And she goes, because they're like for emergency vehicles. And I was like, where do you ride the ATVs? Where do you drive them? She goes, in these hills. And I just was like, oh my God, no. Like, it was so not what we anticipated. But like, in their defense, because they're literally professional ATV riders, they took every precaution, and they went to this trail a week before we got there to make sure the trail was easy enough for us to navigate. So it was like, I felt so bad for Dave and Doreen. I felt so bad because like they both felt, I could see it on their face, like they were responsible for what happened, but they really weren't. Like we just didn't know.
Nobody was. I wasn't. I asked Ellie later, I was like, was I like being reckless or anything? And she's like, no, like we were told. It was a fluke. It was a freak thing. It happened. And, nobody should feel bad for anything. We all walked away from it. That's all that matters.
I think we just need to stick to water sports. We are really good with jet skis.
Right.
We are really good with tubing. We've even done
boating,
skiing. Like, I think we just need to stick to water sports.
I think we're a family that needs a soft place to land.
Agreed.
Yeah. Because we're definitely not afraid to fall.
So that was the end of our ATV day, which was, legitimately took hours. I mean, the drive there was an hour. ATVing was a couple hours. But then like the next day, so when we're on a vacation, I generally need a down day. I personally do. Everyone else can go out, but everyone knows this. On every vacation we've been on, it doesn't matter where we are. It doesn't matter what city, what country, I need a down day. It's just what it is. And so we chose the middle of the week to be our down day. And that was just like regrouping, maybe watching TV, I don't know, talking to a friend, like whatever it is for each of us. We have our down days. They're different. The girls laid out by the pool. Yep. So they had their opportunity to they walked around Greer a little bit. But what did you do on your down day? Because we literally we both went in opposite directions for our down day.
We did. I pounded ibuprofen.
Okay.
And then I think I had a cocktail or two. and then do not try this at home. But no, I had some work things I needed to catch up on. I had paperwork to do. And I actually got that reminds me. This episode is being sponsored by Anytime Mailbox. Do you like my segue there? I had an Anytime Mailbox package waiting for me at the hotel. So I did a little bit of reading, but I also had to sign some documents, a new contract and everything.
Yeah, I was so surprised on that day off for us when you were down at the I came down because our paths did cross, and I came downstairs in the lobby and you were getting a FedEx from the girl in the reception. I was like, what's happening here?
Just doing a little side business.
What's happening? And this is part of our virtual mailbox.
I know, but you feel it's like we talk about it. I feel like we don't do it the justice. I think
it's such a great service.
Do you mind texting Scott?
Oh,
Text him.
Yeah.
Now.
Okay.
Let's get him on the line.
Okay.
I think it's better that he tells everybody about Anytime Mailbox.
Okay. Yeah.
Don't you think that would be a better use of
I think that's really good.
This particular time?
Okay. Let me just ask him if he could do a quick yeah. Okay. I got him. He said he can do it. He's actually available right now.
Bang. All right. I'm sending the Zoom.
Okay.
Oh my gosh, there he is. Okay, Scott, hi. Thanks for doing this.
Hi, Scott.
It's my pleasure. Great to see you both.
You're always at our beck and call. I really appreciate it. Can you first tell everybody that's listening to the show, what is your title? Because we just call you the Anytime Guru. So, and I know that's not your official title. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
It is not, but moving forward, maybe we'll add that. But first of all, thank you for having me on the podcast. I'm big fans of you guys and excited about being here. But my name's Scott Kaufman. I'm based in Florida, and I'm the Vice President of Marketing for Anytime Mailbox.
Okay, there you go. I think Guru works. It's about the same.
It is the same.
Yeah. So,
I'll take it.
Nice. Okay, so I was just explaining as part of our episode, we were in Greer, South Carolina, and I took advantage of my service to receive a package. Like I actually had been dragging my feet on signing some documents for an upcoming job. And sure enough, the week of the 4th of July, I decided, oh, you know what? I need this stuff FedEx to me. And so my provider, I have two providers. We have two providers. One is in Orlando and the other one's in California. So my people in California I've been working with for 2 years now since we've been on the road. And they're quick.
Yeah, it's how we get our mail legitimately.
Yeah.
Like we are such fans that we opened a second mailbox for our podcast.
Yeah.
So so all of our personal mail and any business that we have in Los Angeles goes through our Los Angeles mailbox, and anything for the podcast goes through our Orlando virtual mailbox with Anytime mailbox.
Right. And so anyway, I received this parcel and, obviously I got all my business done and everything. And I've been extolling the virtues we have these past several weeks of, Anytime mailbox, but we wanted to sort of get a better version of that explanation than we can give. So who better to come to than you?
Awesome. Well, thanks for having me again, and looking forward to talking about it. If,
Sure.
For a high level, Anytime Mailbox supplies virtual mailboxes and virtual addresses to our customers all over the world. We've got over 2,300 different addresses. And the biggest thing, what I like to say is we provide freedom to our customers. We have customers that are starting their own business, right? Freelancers, entrepreneurs. We have customers that are always on the road. And we have customers who really value their privacy and don't want to use their home address for everything. So for those business builders, we give them freedom, and we give them really the opportunity to start that business. For people who are on the road, we give them the freedom to go on the road without having to worry about missing any mail. And for privacy, clearly, if you don't want people to know where you live, we give you that kind of security so that you can send your mail elsewhere and not worry about it.
Got it. And so, well put, better than I think I've done in the past. But walk us through sort of the standard services. What happens when a piece of mail arrives at your Anytime mailbox?
So when your mail arrives at one of our locations, they'll take a picture of the front of the mail, a piece of mail, and then upload it into your app. And so you can grab it via desktop or on your phone. You can take a look at the piece of mail, and then you can request what the next step is. You can ask our center to shred the mail if you don't need it. You can ask them to open it up and scan it. You can ask them to forward it to you, or you can ask them just to hold it, and then you can arrange for a time to go pick it up.
Got it. Yeah, that's perfect. So you mentioned just a minute ago, though, and this is important. Like, I know it's important to me as a freelancer. What is like the biggest advantages Anytime Mailbox gives sort of your small business owners, freelancers like me? Obviously the freedom that you discussed earlier, but then there's also, you mentioned the privacy component. Can you expand on that?
Yeah. So, freelancers is a great example, and drop shippers specifically, right? If you're starting a business, years ago, 15 years ago, I remember starting a business and I had to worry about getting an office and getting a lease. And it was hundreds of dollars a month that I didn't know if I'd have. And, you locked in for 6 months, a year. Then people started moving towards getting a postal mailbox at locations. And still, you have to go to that location to pick up your mail. There were certain contracts with that, 3 months, 6 months, 9 months. For our service, really what it is $9.99 a month is the most popular package. You can choose it for 1 month, 12 months. You can cancel at any time. And what it does is it gives you, really the freedom to start today, right? You don't have to worry about what the investment cost is. So if you're sitting in your office, in a big corporate environment and you're thinking about doing your own thing, you don't have to worry about all the infrastructure. You can get one of our addresses. You can start to develop relationships and business development. The mail goes to one of our locations. You can view it on your phone, and you're off and running. And you can use that address or multiple addresses to create a, so it appears that you're a professional on a website that you can build. And so today you could grab an address from New York City. You could grab one from Miami, Florida, and Austin, Texas. And it looks like you're a worldwide power player.
Yeah.
and those offices can accept packages for you. They'll accept your mail for you. In some cases, they'll even deposit checks for you. So there's a wide range of services that they can do to get you off and running. We also offer virtual phone services. So now you don't have to use your personal phone if you're using, for a lot of business like real estate personnel or other industries where you get a lot of phone calls. So our existing customers right now can actually purchase virtual phones, and that's also on a month-to-month basis.
Okay, is that a new service?
Just rolled it out. Yep.
Wow.
That's incredible.
I was like, I did not know about that.
Just rolled it out. Yep.
If you want a virtual secretary, you can have one.
That's right. You can have the virtual phone number and you can answer the phone, or you can also sign up to actually have somebody answer the phones for you, take the messages, let them know that you're busy in a meeting right now, and take the message for you.
Okay, I have a quick question. Does
Sure.
that phone number allow for text messages?
It does, yes.
Oh my gosh, that's a game changer.
What?
You know that's a game changer.
I do,
That's
yeah.
awesome. I did
We're excited
not
about
even
it.
know that.
Oh.
Wow.
Okay, I think we may have to use that service.
Oh
I'm
my
not
gosh,
kidding.
I never have to talk on the phone again. It's gonna be so awesome.
Okay, so Scott, it's funny because anytime I ever talk about the service that you provide for us, people always say, "Oh, it's a virtual mailbox, so it doesn't exist." And I always have to explain to them, no, it actually does exist. I just don't need to pick up my mail every single day. And once I explain that, it's like the light bulb goes off in everyone's head. So virtual mailbox, I love the name because it is what it is, but sometimes it can be deceiving because I think that people think it doesn't really exist. And no, the truth is it does exist. You just don't have to deal with the mail. So, I love the fact that they scan the mail for you beforehand. I mean, James will literally, somebody sent us a card and James had them open up the card and James showed me a picture. It was like my cousin sent me a card and he's like, "Do you need this card? Because here's the message on the card." I'm like, "No, they could throw the card away. Like there's no reason for them to send it to me since I already saw it." I absolutely think it's such a game changer in how you receive your mail.
And it's also digitized as well. So if you need to keep it, if it's an important message from a bank or a government or clients, right, it's digitized and you can refer back to it whenever you want.
Yeah, my phone is filled with random PDFs of mail that I've received from the past 2 years. I don't know, like when you're looking on an iPhone, it just says save to files. And then you go to open up the files on your iPhone. And it's like hundreds of things. But it is good to know, if I ever want that document, based on the house that we sold 2 years ago or whatever. If I ever want to see just how much did they get us for taxes on that for, sake of curiosity or whatever, that it's still sitting there waiting for me on my phone somewhere in a PDF form.
Okay, so one of our listeners asked me this question, which I want to ask you. She's an older woman and she's really concerned about people seeing her mail. I mean, I swear to God, all she's getting is a Reader's Digest, but she was asking about that. Yeah, she was like, "Well, who's looking at it? What they know all of my business." How do you explain that and how do you keep privacy private? Does that make sense?
It absolutely does. It's a great question. That's very important to us as well. First of all, we vet all of our operator sites carefully. They're typically in the mail business already, and this is just an additional service for them. Right. They all have to register with the United States Post Office, right, with identification, so that we know they're legit. And then the other thing is that we're constantly monitoring all of our sites to make sure that customer support is handled in the right timing, that if you request for a scan, that it's done in the right amount of timing. And so we're constantly measuring that. We're measuring any type of customer complaints, right, or concerns that customers have. We'll research that. We'll give the operator feedback. And in some cases, we'll have to turn off some sites, right, that aren't performing at the level that we expect. We're always looking for new sites, and we're always evaluating our existing sites. We need to make sure that that the mail is secure, right? Privacy is secure, and that our customers are satisfied.
Yeah, I had wished that I knew about Anytime Mailbox prior to our travels. I mean, we obviously use you. We use you because our lives changed and we needed something that would change with us, and it was a perfect fit. But as a small business owner, I owned a small business in Los Angeles. this would have been so beneficial for me, Scott. There were so many times where the mail was delivered, and because different people were in the office, some would get it, some would put it on their desk or in their room, wouldn't tell us that it came. I would be looking for something that maybe arrived 5 days ago. And even when I sold my business, gosh, what a game changer, honestly, it would have been for me to have an anytime mailbox. Because when I sold my business, there were still documents from the state of California that were being sent there. And I would ask, did this come? Did that come? Oh, I don't know. Maybe it did. I'm relying on somebody who is still working there to get my really important documents. And that would just been very helpful.
Yeah, that's true. And it also, so there's work, there's business, there's when you're traveling, and then just everyday life. Like I said, it's more and more you hear about, letters that don't make it to your house, and is somebody driving around looking in your mailbox. And then we all see those videos about porch pirates, right? And we don't have that issue if you're sending it to one of our locations, because it's held behind the counter. There's signatures that are required, and you can make sure that you get those holiday presents, and that the holiday presents you're sending are making it.
Yeah, that's perfect. So is there anything else you would want to add to our listeners, who are considering an anytime mailbox?
I think the most important thing is that we can help you get to the next step, right? As I mentioned, if you're looking to start a business, right, check that first thing off the list, right? Get the address, get the phone number, you're good to go. You're in the game. If you're traveling, we make life easy for you. And then that last segment of personal privacy and wanting to keep your home address private. We're seeing more and more people who are taking advantage of those services. So, we're inexpensive, we're affordable, we have great service, and you can cancel anytime. So there's very little risk in giving us a test, and we'll prove to you that it's a valuable service.
Okay, great. Well, look, for any of you listeners out there who are interested in what Anytime Mailbox can do for you, please go to skiptownallstars.com. There's a big Anytime Mailbox icon right there in the header of the homepage. Click on that, and you're going to get 10% off of Anytime Mailbox services for yourself. And Scott, can't thank you enough for joining us, jumping on right quick on this call with us today. It seemed like the perfect segue, so appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you so much for hopping on. That was really nice of you.
Yeah.
My pleasure. I enjoyed it, and I look forward to talking to you again soon. Thanks, guys.
Sounds great.
Thank you. Thanks for all your support. All right, so there you have it.
That explained it. Yeah.
Okay.
I was so glad he's available.
Me too. So back to Greer.
Yeah.
We actually did end up going tubing, and I was so happy to feel that cushy inner tube against my ribs and just float all day. And we tied ourselves all together in like an octet or whatever.
We did.
There were 8 of us, right?
Yeah. An octet.
Yeah. And I just had to literally sit there, and you guys all the weight of all of you pulled me down the river.
Yeah,
Nice.
so it was the day after our day off, and we decided to go tubing, and it ended up being on 4th of July. So it was perfect, because we did tubing during the day, and we celebrated 4th of July in the evening with a baseball game and fireworks. And the tubing, I gotta say, you were pretty chill. So yeah, we did pull you along. You were at the top of the circle, basically, and all of us pulled you this way.
Yeah. I did have to grit my teeth when I was getting into and out of the inner tube, but other than that, it was fine.
Yeah, so we didn't get rained out that day, and we experienced tubing on is it Saluda River? Am I saying it right? Yeah, the Saluda River. And that was a 2-hour float again. I just want to mention that because I never knew that floats were so long. I honestly thought a float was 45 minutes.
The river was kind of slow. I mean, it wasn't like it was rainy season and the river was flowing that fast.
I was just so happy when she said 2 hours. I'm like, we get to float for 2 hours? That's awesome.
You got scorched though because you forgot your sunscreen.
It is such a problem. Being so white
girls.
for sure. And then, we celebrated 4th of July that evening with a game at the minor league baseball field.
Fluor Field, the Carolina Drive baseball team.
That's it.
And they promptly went down by 7 runs into the second inning. But that wasn't the real story of that game. They ended up making it interesting in the end.
Did.
We thought they were actually going to come back, but they didn't. The real story of that game, though, was TikTok waiting for the sun to set.
Okay, so Doreen and Dave were so generous and bought everyone tickets for this game. What they didn't realize, and none of us did, was that the seats were directly in the sun. And so it's this whole like battle I was having with myself. I knew when I saw the seats, the first thing I said is, I can't sit in those seats. I literally can't sit in those seats. I'll be burnt. I was already burnt from the tubing. I knew I would be burnt, but then I didn't want to be rude.
Yeah, it's like sitting in the bleachers at a Cubs game or a Dodgers game or whatever. It was like direct sun.
So I didn't want to be rude to Dave and Doreen. So I thought to myself, okay, I'm going to sit in these seats and we'll see how the sun is looking. Like, is it going to end up, like, where is it? Is it going to hit the building on the other side so that I'll get a little shade? Oh, I sat for 1.5 innings maybe, and the sun didn't move. So I was like, I can't do this. So at some point, like we're only in like the 3rd inning, I got up and I said, I'm so sorry. I have to go stand in the shade, which meant like get up and walk to like where the concessions are and stand over there. And I felt terrible doing it. And my girls like quickly followed, and then I turn and there's Doreen, Lacey, and Lexi, and I look down and there's James and Dave is sitting at one end of the row and James is sitting at the other, drenched, like they're both drenched, like they just had a shower. I'm like, why are they sitting down there?
Mia picked up a t-shirt for me for 4th of July for me to wear on 4th of July. It was heather gray, and it was actually, I think it was light gray. And by the time I was done sweating in it, it was heather gray. Like, it was legit soaked to where when I walked up to go to the bathroom, people were looking at me like, is this guy okay? Is he going to make it? So I actually had to buy a dark Carolina Drive t-shirt. We've talked about this in previous episodes. I'm a sweater. I need wicking.
You do.
I need a wicking shirt.
Mm-hmm. Poor thing. Yeah. I felt bad for you.
So Mia bought me cotton, and there I was sitting. It might as well have been, what's that Scottish wool that they sell? The Afghan. It's not Afghan wool.
Merino wool.
Yeah,
or whatever?
That.
Okay.
Yeah, I might as well have had wool socks on and a snowmobile suit.
So around the 7th inning, our seats got shaded. So we made our way back, and the game ended with a firework display that was awesome.
It was awesome. It was a good show. It wasn't even the city fireworks. It was just the one for the park.
Yeah. And then after the park fireworks, we had the pleasure of seeing the city fireworks all around us. So it was a great way to spend 4th of July. I mean, it really was. And then the next day, we ended up, heading out, and just all of us having really wonderful memories about like what a great family trip we had, and not even knowing this family really even existed up until the podcast when Doreen said, hey, I'm listening to the show.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you're right. It was just like not top of mind, but I always knew I had a cousin Doreen. I just didn't know what she was up to all these years. And turns out, she and Dave had some kids and raised a family, and everybody's doing fine, and it was killer. I mean, it's something I want to do every single 4th of July now. Our oldest daughter, Parker, who just moved to Denver, she wasn't able to make it with her boyfriend, but I said, I think we're going to do this every year now. It's going to be a tradition, and then we are going to try and figure out wherever we end up how to, incorporate them into coming and seeing us for a week here and there. So maybe 2 weeks out of the year, we get some solid extended family love, and I'm digging it.
Yeah, I was so happy when you said, let's make this a tradition. I was like, oh, that's a great idea.
That was on day 2.
You did. He said it on day 2. And he doesn't like anything really, except for like, new towns that he shows up on and he's immediately in love. But like, to sell him on the idea of like, let's make this a tradition. Like I couldn't even believe you came to me and said it. When we left, I just kept thinking about like, what a wonderful memory we created. And it made me think about, just did a lot of thinking about family. And I don't know, like, look, Ellie had her little meltdown in Asheville because, when families get together, I think everyone plays their role in the dynamics of the family. You always say like the birth order comes into play, but like, if you have 3 siblings and it's Christmas, whoever the bossy one is going to be the bossy one. And they could still be like 55 years old, but they're still going to play that role.
The domineering one tries to dominate. The the passive aggressive one responds, and then the one who's sort of happy-go-lucky is usually the one that ends up crying because they want to be a peacemaker.
Did you ever like date anyone, or did your family ever have a family reunion like or a get together where someone cried?
There was one Thanksgiving where, a bunch of people left early because they got in an argument. But other than that, no. I did date someone, actually. Yeah, as a matter of fact, I have. Who seemed to always have a family member crying at family get-togethers.
Who?
You. Your family, the first 5 or 6 times I was there, you were crying, your mother was crying, your niece was crying, somebody was crying. Your dad was screaming over Bill O'Reilly and Fox News in the bedroom, like, keep it down out there. What's going on? And why is everyone crying?
Yeah,
You're criers.
I would say that is true.
You have some walker-outers in your family, too.
Oh,
Yeah?
for sure.
Recently.
Recently?
That's your story to tell. I'm not going to tell that story.
Wow, I actually did not anticipate you saying it was me. I did not. Yeah.
You're definitely that person in that family. So
I wasn't that person, though.
No, I mean, but you're the person I dated, to be fair, who had a family like that.
Oh, man, I did not expect that. That took a turn.
Yeah.
All right, well, I guess it's time to wrap this show up.
I guess it is. On that note, you don't want to talk about that anymore.
Nope, we're out.
No need to drag out the dirty laundry. Wrap it up.
Yeah, well, I'm really glad that you joined us for our family vacation in Greer, South Carolina. We'll see what next year holds for us. I hope that if you had your family get together this year, it was a good one.
Word.
Empty nest, full tank.
Check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys.